Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are listening to us, whenever you are listening to us. We hope it is good and a happy new year. Welcome to Geeks Who Like Sports, episode 13 of season 2, the first of 2024. As always, I am Ray Carcillo in beautiful Los Angeles, California. Joined by my best friend in the entire world over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Lee Elias. Lee, happy new year, my friend. How are you and how are things?
You know, Ray, it's 49 degrees here, right? It is not slated to go below freezing at anytime soon. In fact, the temperature's only going to go up. It's not going to be freezing here until the earliest Friday. And we're getting weather warnings for horrible weather. Ray, it's raining outside in the winter, and apparently we don't know what to do with this anymore. We can't just have it rain in the winter. They're like, no, it's dangerous. And I'm going, I mean, it's exactly as dangerous as it is any other time of the year when it's raining. Sometimes the sun's up, sometimes it's down. It does make it a little more difficult to drive. Agree. But Ray, this has never happened before. And the Weather Channel and the weather people are saying that I need to be worried about this. Now, again, if I was up north and it's 30 degrees, yeah, this is blizzard conditions, right? But it's raining at night, Ray, in the Philadelphia metropolitan area, and
above 32 degrees.
Way above 32. Like there's no threat of snow here, and people are canceling things, and they're talking about not. I mean, it's just.
Now you sound like. Are you sure you're not in Los Angeles too, Lee?
Ray,
and that you're actually in Philadelphia?
I'm a little worried at how propagandatized the weather is becoming. Over the weekend, again, it snowed in some parts of the Northeast, but here, again, it was like 32 and up. But I'm like, it's still not cold enough for a blizzard or snow to pile up. Again, if you were in northern New Jersey, it was because it was 30.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
But it's like people they don't know the chemical, the deep technological and informational need for what the 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 in Celsius, what that means, Ray. And this is where the geek in me comes out, because I know that it needs to be 32 or below for the snow to really stick. It can actually snow when it's above 32. Some of you may or may not know that, because in the upper atmosphere, it's colder. But Ray, when it's 40 plus, it's just freaking rain. And it's okay, because the earth needs the rain, Ray. God knows the earth needs the rain. But here we must panic now, because the Weather Channel has become Fox News, MSNBC, and CNN all together. We have bomb cyclones, F0 tornadoes, and we should cancel the show tonight because it's raining outside. It was great talking to all of you, Ray.
I don't think. Let's not cancel the show.
Ray, the Weather Channel said, "I'm hitting the desk." The Weather Channel said, "I am in danger."
The Weather Channel. I don't think you're in danger.
Ray, I've got a page of things we need to talk about here, but the Weather Channel says that we need to be careful right now.
We'll be careful, but like you said, we have a huge show planned for everybody. We've got football playoffs, both college and pros. We've got baseball, basketball, women's
How can they
hockey.
play these sports in the weather, Ray?
I know, it's unbelievable. We've got What-If to talk about. We've both watched the entire series. We've got Star Wars news. We've got Warner Brothers news. We've got Disney. We've got Tetris, a milestone in Tetris. We've got all kinds of stuff to talk about.
Mickey Mouse is a murderer now. I can't wait to talk about that. Listen, joking aside, somehow, it's like they teach you in broadcasting school, right? They taught us, like, you don't ever start a show talking about the weather. I got to talk about the stupidity surrounding the weather. With that said, obviously, if it's not clear conditions, you should always drive and proceed with caution. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but I'm not going to panic in the winter when it's 40 degrees and it's raining.
Right. Well, remember what was said in Jumanji, right? A little rain never hurt anyone, but a lot of rain can kill you. Sure. But I do not think you are in that monsoon level rain.
I would say I am as equal of a chance of a rhinoceros and elephant stampede happening through this wall behind me as a snowstorm right now.
Yes.
All right. Maybe a little less chance of that happening. Wait, for those of you watching, how amazing would it? No, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Ray, we got to talk about the NFL because there's some cool NFL stories. I think we have to get
Yes.
some predictions here for week 1 of the
Yes, we got a
playoffs.
lot of stuff to talk
I'm
about with the
excited about
NFL.
it.
The first story we want to talk about is, speaking of the North and whatnot, this was a really great story for the first time since 1935 in the NFL.
And that's pre-World War II for most of
Yes.
the world.
Yes, they were still referring to World War I as the Great War
Great
at
War
that point
of our time.
Yes. For the first time since 1935, that's 88 years, an entire division in the NFL finished with a winning record. The Cincinnati Bengals, their backups beat up on the Cleveland Brown backups because the game didn't matter for either team. But that meant that the Bengals finished with a 9-8 record. And so every team in that division, the Ravens at 13-4, the Browns at 11-6, the Steelers at 10-7, and again, the Bengals at 9-8. It is the first time a team in the NFL every team has had a winning record since 1935. They are the beasts of the Great White North. They are in the AFC. 3 of those teams made the playoffs. We'll get into that in a second. But Lee, what an accomplishment for that division.
Yeah, look, the NFL has such great parity. And again, I know that doesn't always result in everybody having a winning record, but I think it's just good for the sport when things like this can happen. And again, look, it's cool to see that in 2024, 23, 24, you can see things new happen in a sport. Whereas again, I hate ripping the NBA, but it's like you just know certain teams in the NBA.
Yeah,
it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So for a whole division to be competitive like that,
yeah,
it is pretty cool.
It's funny. The NBA is setting records for like the worst losing teams ever.
Yeah.
And here you have the NFL with a division just full of winners. And it is really something special.
I'm going to say it again. It should never happen. It kill. And look, the NFL is not guilt free of this. They've had losing teams and,
Sure.
But they find a way through it. You know what I mean? And it's like when you think about the NBA, it's the same 5 teams all the time. Almost all the time. In the NFL, it moves around. Obviously, the Pats were there for a while, but even this season, I'm not going to make a Super Bowl prediction right today because I couldn't tell you. I mean, I can guess based on who's there, but any of these teams could really make it except for the Eagles.
We will get into that a bit. One more story about a winner before we get into our playoff predictions. And this was actually surrounded by controversy. There was a big meeting at the field between the 2 coaches afterwards. If you folks didn't hear about this, the Saints beat the Falcons 48-17, absolutely obliterated them. Both had playoff chances on the line for the winner. They both would not end up making the playoffs because the Bucs would go on the win. We'll get into that in a second. But the Saints finished with a 9-8 record, just missed the playoffs. They were up 41-17 with the ball on the 1-yard line. And their coach, David Allen, told Jameis Winston, the backup quarterback, to go in and take a knee. Jameis Winston, in the huddle, said, "We're doing fake victory formation. We're going to give the ball to Jamal Williams, our running back, who has been a workhorse for us this year and did not get into the end zone once this year. We want to get him a touchdown here on the last play, possibly the last play of the year," right? So they line up in victory formation. Winston, instead of taking the knee, hands it off to Williams. Williams goes up the gut for a yard, gets the touchdown. They are very, very happy, celebrate. Obviously, the Falcons not happy that they had the score run up on them, a meaningless touchdown. Again, this was the less than a minute left in the game. I can't think of his name right now. Arthur Smith, the coach for the Falcons, who just got fired today, actually. He obviously met David Allen at midfield after he basically got in his face and said many, many expletives about that kind of play. And typically in the NFL, this is not something you do. But also this is a rivalry game. This is a division game. The Falcons years ago did something similar to the Saints, right? Like there's history between these 2 teams, even if the roster has obviously had a lot of change over the years. And again, everybody who's come out, Jameis Winston said, "Look, I changed the play." The whole offense went along with it. Everybody in the offense said it was the right thing to do. He wanted to do it for Jamal, and then too. And they also said, F the Saints and all that, or F the Falcons, excuse me, and other things along those lines. And it's really split the football community. Lee, even with wanting to get your running back a touchdown because he hadn't had a touchdown all year, was it right first off, is there a locker room problem? Did the team, has David Allen lost the team over the fact that Jameis Winston took it upon himself to change the play like this? And then I want to know, do you have a problem with them running up the score, even with the reason they gave?
So great questions. I'm going to start with this. It's funny, but it's true. These are the problems of non-playoff teams. All right. I think that's the first thing that we all have to understand. It's the end of the season. You know, you're not getting in, right? You got to paint the picture here for where the teams are at. Right. I think that's really important. And again, these are problems of teams that aren't going to make the playoffs.
And it's also true at this point, the Saints saw the scoreboard. They knew they had been eliminated because the Bucks had gone final. They won 9-0.
Right. So that changes the polarity of the situation a little bit. Okay. Let's look at this on multiple fronts. You know, if I'm a coach, all right, you said it, you got fired. The Falcons coach got fired. I mean, you know, I'm in a position here too where it's like, you know, this doesn't contribute in a good way to the situation I'm in from coach to coach. I can see that being frustrating. Now, he doesn't know, obviously, at that point that the players have changed the play. But that's why I think he's seated. It's a long season. They were really on the verge for a lot of it. They could not get to where they needed to be. The guy's frustrated. I mean, so I understand that. Okay. Look, I'm Mr. Kumbaya typically about being even keeled. At the end of a losing season, losing like that, I can understand emotions flaring. Okay. So from a coaching standpoint, I understand why he was upset. I also, again, team didn't make the playoffs. He didn't do his job. So he's upset with himself and his team as well. Changing the play. Is that an affront to the coaching staff? If this team was going into the playoffs, if this team was a high caliber team, yeah, it's a problem. It is a big problem at that point because what the coach says, you got to do there has to be unification and understanding across the board. I think on a better team, I think the quarterback says, hey, I'd like to get this guy a touchdown. Can we make that happen? Right. So that didn't happen, right? You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I think there's a little more communication or more likely, you know, maybe a coach, you know, opts in to do that and does it. Because again, no one's talking about this play after next week. Nobody.
Correct.
Right. And you got to remember that. We've seen this in the NFC East. Teams get each other back for things that happened years ago. Eagles and Cowboys are well known to do that to each other. So I, as a coach, I don't appreciate when people go against me or calls that I make. I might, in this situation, have a conversation with the players, even though the season's over, of like, look, this is why you shouldn't do that. Maybe you could have came to me if there's that type of relationship. But I also like that the players wanted to get this guy a touchdown. I also like that the players surrounded their brother. I think that's a positive from a team front for the future. But look, you got to paint the picture. It's the last play at the last game of the season. It's the problem of a non-playoff team.
Right. Neither team is making the playoffs at this point.
Right. Yeah. So it's like, it is what it is. You got to move forward. And hopefully when the Falcons decide to get retribution, they're both vying for a playoff spot.
Right.
But yeah, look, this is just a classic tempers flare. Season's over. I'm losing my job tomorrow type situation.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's my thoughts on it. Yeah. I would not, if I was a fan of those teams, would not read into it too much.
Yeah, I think like you said, the context paints the big picture here. Is that I think it's more of a positive than a negative because again, it shows the camaraderie on that team, them wanting to get Jamal Williams a touchdown, as opposed to them, you know, bucking the coach.
If this was like Kansas City doing it to the Pats, that would be a different, like you know, rubbing it in Belichick's face kind of thing. Like, not that would happen. Like, that's a different conversation. That's rude. That's wrong. You know what I mean? Like, there's no need to do that.
Right.
But that's not the situation. It's like, it's just very grumbly, you know, grouchy. Oh, right. That's what happens.
Tradition, and this is how football should be. And
yeah,
blah, blah, blah.
Enjoy the off season.
Right. You're all going to go play golf in Florida now. Have fun.
Right. Have fun. And we'll never talk about this ever again until it comes up again when you guys do it to each other. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, and I think also, and I think the folks who are also calling for like Jameis Winston to be cut over this, I think again, I think you're blowing this out of proportion. And to your point again, Lee, it'd be different if the Saints were like 11-6 and had won the division and were in the playoff
team. This is a totally different conversation, but they're not. So
it was the last play of the season for two teams that were going home afterwards. They wanted to get their running back a touchdown.
Yeah, and you know when we're not talking about is how much that means to him.
Yes,
right. Like it's you know so again, a lot of factors that play into this, but it's like none of it can be taken too seriously.
Yeah. So, well, what will be taken seriously, though, as you mentioned, next weekend, of course, is the wild card weekend, super wild card weekend. We have 6 games. The Niners and Ravens, of course, have the byes. We had known they had the byes for a while now,
And
we
well deserved buys. I want to say that.
yes,
Very, very well
yes.
deserved. Great seasons for both those teams.
Yes. Yeah, the Niners had their backups in for the last game of the season. They lost to the Rams, which actually helped the Rams secure the 6th seed. And Carson Wentz got himself a win in a nice game, as he also was as a lot of the backups played, resting Matthew Stafford. And actually, before we get to the playoffs, this was an interesting thing too. I want to ask your thoughts on this. Since we've expanded to the 17-game schedule, you're seeing a lot of teams that don't have anything to play for in this last week start to really rest players before going into the playoffs. And I feel like it happened a bit in the 16-game schedule, but for whatever reason, it feels like it's happening more now the last 3 or 4 years since the shift. What do you feel about, if you don't have the bye, and actually this actually be a great question because it could lead to your Eagles, about resting players when you really don't have a lot to play for?
I think that we need 10 seasons of 17 weeks before we can answer that question. It's just too early, and this is like how the cookie crumbled this season. Because here's the thing, and you know this, several of those meaningless games could have been very meaningful had one thing happened here or there.
Yes.
Right. So look, let's be honest. The 17th week was added for revenue for all the teams.
Right.
People still forget they have to make money up from COVID. We don't talk about this like hardly ever. But I mean, the NFL was in the best position of all the major sports leagues because of their television deal. But that's one more week of games for the home teams that revenue's coming in. So I just think it's too early to say. I don't think it's really that much different than before. I just think that the schedule landed that way this year. And again, it could be. I think we just need more. We need more data before we can make anything about that. But look, anytime you have a sport with this few amount of games, you're going to run into this scenario. When you play 82 games or 100,642 million games like baseball, it changes the polarity of this, right? So, it doesn't bother me. There were several meaningful games too, that may not have been meaningful games had we not had week 17. So, I think what you'll see is, again, in 10 years when we're on episode whatever, or 5 years, whatever, it'll be interesting to see how many. I bet you it'll be about 50-50 in terms of meaningful games and non-meaningful games.
Yeah.
Good question.
As you mentioned, there were a lot of meaningful games this weekend. One of them, the Texans versus the Colts. Two teams that are well ahead of schedule, particularly the Texans, rookie coach, rookie quarterback, winning in. This was one of the winning in scenarios this weekend. The Texans, CJ Stroud continues to look like he should be the rookie of the year, offensive rookie of the year, and Gardner Minshew, who, credit where it's due, came in midseason as a backup, went 7-6 with a team that doesn't have a lot of weapons, but they fall a game short of the playoffs. They finished 9-8 as the Texans find a way to win 23-17. They now, because of some other results, will host the Browns in Super Wild Card weekend. So the 11-6 Browns heading to 10-7 Texans. Lee, who do you think is going to come out on top here? Joe Flacco, the ageless wonder coming out of retirement, versus CJ Stroud, the rookie upstart.
It's one of the very few playoff series where I'd like to see both teams win. And I don't say that often. Usually I'm looking at all these, I'm like, I could tell you who I want to win. This has got to be the hardest one to pick of all of the games by far. I'm going to give the Texans the edge because of youth and because of storyline. And that, as much as I love what Flacco is doing for the Browns, there's an age factor there. People are going to say experience. I don't know. His season is already a victory. And I don't think the Texans are anywhere near that mentally. I'm not saying that Flacco's not going to give his all, but young quarterback, young coach, I'm going to give the edge to the Texans.
That's fair. We're gonna diverge on this. I'm gonna go with the Browns just because the Browns have the best defense in the league.
They do.
The Browns have the 2 top corners, the lowest passer rating against lowest passer rating allowed The top two are the two starting corners for the Cleveland Browns. So
go.
even though CJ Stroud has found a way, I feel like Cleveland's defensive scheme might give him issues. And although will say that I think Texans have a better offense, I think Flacco finds a way. I think experience is a factor here. I don't think that I don't think the Browns care that they're going to be on the road. I think that even though the Texans are home, I don't think that's going to matter. I think if anything, it might help Cleveland because they're not going to be in the snowy conditions that they're used to.
Ray, I'll be honest with you, all your points make sense. Like I said, this is a really hard one to call.
This is a 50-50 one.
Yeah.
And I also would love to see both teams advance, but someone has to win.
Yeah.
So I'm going Cleveland. You're going Houston. We'll see what happens next week with that one.
Yeah. Again, that is easily the toughest one to call.
Absolutely. Because like you said, Texans have momentum. They have the youth movement. They have these guns ablazing. But I think Cleveland Browns, congrats guys. I think you're gonna maybe actually do something here in the playoffs.
You mean the birthplace of football might have some football to celebrate?
There you go. This was an interesting one. The next one, so the Dolphins lost on Sunday Night Football, giving the Bills the division. The Dolphins fall down to the 6th seed. It is another massive primetime loss against a winning team in the Bills for the Dolphins. The Chiefs, they rested everybody the last game of the season, but they have not been the Chiefs of old. It's actually been riding on their defense most of this year. Dolphins having to head to Arrowhead. Mahomes, another home game for him in the playoffs. Tyreek Hill for the Dolphins returning to Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of interesting storylines here. I just don't see how the Dolphins finally buck the trend of them being able to get over and beat a good team. Especially the Chiefs have already beaten the Dolphins this year. That was the Germany game. It was a great game, but the Chiefs defense really stymied Tua. I'm going Chiefs here. Lee, what about you?
So, Ray, this is going to be an interesting one for you. Everything tactically, statistically, sports-wise, coach, everything leads me to the Chiefs. But for some reason, and I really can't explain it, I think the Dolphins are going to win this game. And I have nothing to back that up other than there's just a gut feeling, and I don't know why. So I'm doing it. I'm picking the Dolphins. I'm taking a wild pick here because I really can't tell you why. Just something about the way the season, like this is like a Plinko board for me.
Yeah.
I just have a feeling it's going to fall the Dolphins' way that game. I think that the only thing I can think of that goes against the Chiefs is it's been a long season.
Yeah.
They just won the Super Bowl last year. This has been a long ride for them now. And Taylor Swift is going to be at the game. And I have no idea how that's going to play out. So there's just something about, I really can't put my finger on it. I just feel like the Dolphins are going to take that game. And I don't know why.
I mean, there are possibilities. I mean, the Chiefs, it's been a bad year for Mahomes, partially because his receivers, the Chiefs lead the league in drops.
Yeah, they have not had a great year. Yeah. No. It's just something's there that I think what it is, Ray, I think you're alluding to it, is that they are not invincible at the moment.
Right.
So I think if you're going to slay Goliath or Eliath, if you listen to this show, this is the moment, right? And I really like Mike McDaniels and the way he runs his team. It's like now we'll talk about this in the NFC too. If you're going to click, this is the moment. This is the team. Yeah. And I think they can go pretty far if they win this game.
I mean, I would believe that as well, because I will say this: if the Chiefs do win, they're out the next round. Right. Wherever Kansas City goes after that, I do not see them advancing. I like their defense, but again, I think Kansas City's had a lot of offensive problems.
Right.
Really, the big concern, I would say this: if this was in Miami, I would probably go with the Dolphins as well.
Right.
It's just because Miami's on the road into Arrowhead, struggling. They struggle on the road. They struggle against good teams. I feel like it's going to be just like intangible things like that. I can see this being 16.
Look, I'm going to say it again. There is nothing that supports this feeling that I have. Nothing. Like I said, I know they haven't beaten Big Ten. I just have a feeling. I don't know what it is. Yeah. We'll find out when we do this next week if I was right or not.
Yes. This one, another interesting one is we're going to round out the AFC. The Steelers, with help, because the Jaguars, kind of like the Eagles, lost 5 of their last 6. The Jags losing 5 of their last 6 got them out of the playoffs. The Steelers winning I think 3 in a row, got them into the playoffs. They finished at 10-7. They are the 7 seed, and that will now go up to Buffalo to play the 2 seed Bills, who have won 5 in a row. They are red hot. They are looking like the Buffalo Bills that we thought they were going to be at the beginning of the year. They are 5-1, or I think 6-1 since they fired their offensive coordinator. They are absolutely clicking on all cylinders right now. And even though Josh Allen is a turnover machine, he also is a touchdown machine. And I think that the Steelers, who struggled to score and won't have TJ Watt this week because he got hurt in the last week of the season, I think the Bills run roughshod over the Steelers, and I think Buffalo advances.
Yeah, this is the easiest one to pick. If we're going to do it, again, anything could happen. Any given Sundays, I'm picking the Bills as well.
There we go. So
there's
our
nothing
first
there
agreement.
Yeah, I don't have any good feelings like I do about the Dolphins
No,
versus Steelers.
Mason Rudolph, fourth quarterbacker, whatever for the Steelers now. Like
it would be a team of destiny if they can win that game. Again, 7 seeds. It's a tough one. If the Bills lose that game, I'll be shocked.
Agreed. Again, and especially because even it's up in Buffalo, it's supposed to be very cold. Not to say that Pittsburgh's not used to that, but
it's just not. I mean, the Bills fought hard to get here.
Yes.
They're not going to just lay down now.
Yeah.
That's a team you got to watch out for, to be perfectly honest with you. They're dangerous.
I honestly believe it. I mean, look, in the AFC,
they're the most dangerers team in the AFC.
They are probably the most dangerous team in the AFC, right? Like, and then maybe the Ravens. And honestly, after that, I personally would go Brown. If Browns if any team is a team of destiny, it might be the Cleveland Browns.
It's a great story.
That would be the story.
I mean, it's Kurt Warner all over again. It's just really good.
Yeah. I think nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. We might see the Bills head themselves.
We might see a lot of tables get broken.
A lot of tables.
A lot of tables might get broken. And then congrats to the Ravens.
The tables.
Congrats to the Ravens on winning the week 1 of the playoffs. There you go.
So
a year behind schedule. Sorry, a year behind schedule. I thought they would have been there again last year, but we knew Jackson and them, but that team was going to be back.
Yeah, absolutely. NFC now, we head over to we head on down to Dallas, where the Green Bay Packers of Lambeau Field and all the cheeseheads move on down to Dallas. This is actually an interesting matchup because Packers historically do very well against Dallas. Obviously, this is a very different Packer team. Jordan Love making his first playoff appearance after taking over for Aaron Rodgers. The story there, Dak Prescott continuing to try to prove that, he is as good a quarterback as they say he is. The Cowboys, though, have been up and down. They've played, I'll say this, they've played much, much better at home than they have on the road, so that does give them a huge advantage down in Big D.
Weren't they Cowboys, undefeated? Weren't they undefeated this year at home, Cowboys?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean that's
yes.
There's your answer.
With a little bit of help from the referees against the Lions, but yes.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Yes. But yes, that was their last home game. They finished undefeated at home. But the Packers, you know what? They've been finding a way. They get into the playoffs as the 7 seed. They win their last game against the division rival, the Bears, who gave them a fight. They won 17-9. Jordan Love, again, it's his first year as the full-time starter. As much as I want to pick Green Bay and I want to see the Packers, yes. I can't see the Cowboys dropping this first game.
I very much want to pick the Pack, but undefeated at home, they fought hard to get to that 2nd seed. Let's be honest about it. I'm picking the Cowboys, but I will also enjoy it greatly if the Packers send them packing.
Oh, yes. I hope I am wrong about this game.
Yeah, but at the same time, you and I both hate the Cowboys, but the farther they go, the bigger the fall.
Yes,
and I do not believe they are a Super Bowl caliber team. So we will see.
No, and I do not think they get past San Francisco, and even if they do, they are not beating anybody in the AFC. If Dallas should somehow go through the NFC,
I concur.
But we will see. This is another really fun one. Matthew Stafford, leading the Rams, heads back to Detroit to take on Jared Goff, the 2 quarterbacks who were traded for each other. Stafford went to the Rams, won a Super Bowl. It worked.
It worked.
Jared Goff has developed into the quarterback a lot of the Rams thought he could be when they first drafted him. really helping to lead the Lions and on a historic turnaround for that franchise, their first division title in 30 years. I will say this, Matthew Stafford lost a heck of a lot of games in Detroit. I think he's going to lose one more. I think that the Lions defense in particular with Aiden Hutchinson at defensive end is going to be in the backfield all day long. I think the Lions running attack is just too good. And I think we'll wear down that strong Ram defensive front and open up the pass, as that typically what happens in football. And I think it's going to be a real good game, but I think the Lions are going to go to the second round for the first time in over 30 years.
Yeah, I'm picking the Lions too, because the way they're playing. The dark horse in the room, which has really confused me over the last multiple seasons, is Sean McVay.
Yeah.
The brilliance that he showed as a coach in his first 2 or 3 seasons just does not seem to be there right now. Now, you can make the argument that it is there, and that's why they're in the playoffs. And but I think if he shows up at his peak coaching form, they can win that game. But there's nothing, again, statistically to show me that that's going to happen. The Lions have something to play for. They understand that. Again, if they somehow come into that game going, hey, we did it, we won our division, we did what we needed to do. What are you doing? Like that's not great. So
no, and I think Campbell will have them ready to go.
Well,
First Detroit home playoff game in 30 years.
I also think the way that they lost that game a couple weeks ago really charged them up.
The Lions have said it now. It was like, we want to go back to Dallas and we want to finish this there.
Unless the Green Bay Packers beat Dallas, that would be a shame. Listen, I think that really sharpened them up. That really just woke them up. And I think that's the best thing that could have happened to them.
Yeah.
So I'm picking the Lions too.
Yeah. I think the Rams might have a couple of big plays from Puka Nacua, who is the probably, I think, would be second offensive rookie of the year again after CJ Stroud.
He had an imaginary friend named that once.
Yeah. Nacua, by the way, set all kinds of rookie records, most rookie receptions, most rookie yards, 5th round pick. Every team had a chance at him multiple times, and has become Matthew Stafford's new favorite target. But I think, again, you got to have time to throw the ball. And I think Aiden Hutchinson is going to be in Stafford's face all day long. So Lions by a touchdown, in my opinion. All right, Lee, and that brings us to the last game of the weekend. The Tampa Bay Bucks, who win the division with a 9-8 record, will host the Philadelphia Eagles.
That was a pretty good Merrill Reese impression, right?
The
Philadelphia Eagles. The lights are on. The game is going. The Eagles are lost. Who will win?
Much like the Jags, who missed the playoffs, the Eagles lost 5 of their last 6, including, no offense, but you guys got curb stomped by my G-Men on the last game of the year.
The who?
The G-Men.
There you go. I'll let you have one while you're in the offseason.
Yeah, and it ends our 5-game losing streak against you guys.
Hurt your draft position?
Actually, you know what? Actually, it didn't hurt us too much
not
because
that bad. Yeah, it didn't really
the
matter.
Chargers moved ahead of us, but the Chargers aren't going to take a quarterback, so they have Justin Herbert.
Yeah, it was just funny to watch. I would like to congratulate the Commanders on a wonderful downfall this season. Great job.
They let go of Ron Rivera, as we all expected. A lot of coaching openings this year in the NFL. Mike Vrabel was a surprise firing today. 6 seasons in Tennessee, 4 winning seasons, including a conference championship appearance.
Someone's going to benefit from that. Yep.
Absolutely, because I'll also say this. It's not – the guy was there for 6 years, and again, 4 winning seasons, and never had a real quarterback.
Right.
I think Vrabel's a really good coach, and if New England does get rid of Bill Belichick, might be a chance for Vrabel to return home.
If New England and Bill Belichick mutually agree to part,
right.
That is what's going to happen.
Yes.
If he choose to part ways.
Yes. Again, we'll see. A lot will happen with that.
Honestly, look, I was thinking about this. If I'm Bill Belichick, I might be calling Philadelphia right now. I'm like, hey, it's a pretty good team you got there. That's what I would be doing. It's a pretty good team you got there.
Heard you having some problems with your coaching staff.
Yeah, it's a pretty good team.
I know this guy, Matt. I know that guy, Matt Patricia.
Matt Patricia's a friend of mine. That's a pretty cool team you got there.
He can vouch for me.
Wait till those rumors start.
Oh my goodness, Lee. There's been all these kind of rumors.
We're on a Philadelphia.
All these rumors swirling around the Eagles.
Oh my God!
You also started a lot of your starters. Hurts got hurt his finger. Looks like he will be fine.
Well, they said it's not broken, whatever that means.
Yeah.
So
And AJ Brown had a knee injury that did not look good. I don't know what his status is for next week, but I've heard
Right.
that he's
Let me tell you what
doubtful.
needs to happen. Okay. It right at the beginning of the game, it's got to be like, oh no, Jalen can't play. And then you're going to hear this eagle like that down in Tampa, right? And a C-130 is going to fly over the stadium, and a man's going to jump out and parachute down. And as he comes down, there's going to be this thing that rips off, and you're going to see the number 9 on his jersey. And Nick Foles will ascend from the gods to once again lead the Eagles to a lot. No, I'm just kidding. I don't. That's how confusing this team is right now, because that could actually happen. No, look, Bucks versus Eagles. I said many weeks ago I was not going to panic. I don't feel panicked. I'm just perplexed. I don't understand what's happening. I was asked today, Ray. This is funny. Somebody asked me, they said, "You're a team builder. What do you think?" And I said, "Look, I'm not in the room, but this is the things that I'm seeing about the Eagles that are very confusing to me. The room seems to be pretty unified still. Like, you're not getting any dissension in the media. You're getting a lot of players complimenting actually Nick Sirianni as a person, right?
Yeah.
Usually when a team falls apart, there's something that leaks.
Yeah.
You see something. All right. I don't see any of that. So if I don't see anything like that, it's not like we're heavily injured that we know about. I mean, I think it is very possible Jalen Hurts has been hurt for a long time and we don't know about it. I think that might come out, but we don't know. So, like most people, I don't like to speculate. I fall back on science and the scientific method of, okay, well, what do I see? And I'll tell you what I see, Ray. I see some pretty poor play calling the last 5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So if I had to put my finger on it today, and I'm not trying to rip it, we put Matt Patricia we put a new defensive coordinator in there just a few weeks ago. We may be getting out coached. It might just be that simple, that we're not making enough changes. I have called you sometimes. I'm saying I don't understand the play calling here. Now, I'm not an NFL coach, but it's things like we need a long drive here. We throw an interception when we don't need to, or just very questionable play calling.
Yeah.
So that is the pulse that I see. I just don't see anything else. I don't think there's dissension. I don't think the locker room hates Nick Sirianni or anything like that. I just think we're getting out coached week to week right now.
Well, and that's going to make it even more interesting. Obviously, I mean, obviously both coaches, Todd Bowles and obviously Sirianni, both a lot of playoff experience for both of these coaches. Baker Mayfield still having a chip on his shoulder, something to prove. Quarterback for Tampa. Obviously, he led Cleveland to the playoffs, and then Cleveland got rid of him after he got hurt. Now he leads Tampa to the playoffs, still trying to prove himself. There's some good weapons on offense there in Tampa. Here's the thing, like you said. On paper, the Eagles are far and away the better team,
right?
Even going down to Tampa, and so I hate to say it, but I still have to pick the Eagles.
I'm picking the Eagles.
Yeah.
I'm picking the Eagles, and again, look, it could come crashing down completely. You could complete. This is the funny part. You could complete the downfall with a loss here. Very selfishly, I'm hoping this was all a ruse, and we got the whole NFC right where we want them now.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, because that's the thing. If you win, if everything else holds, if everything we predicted comes true, you guys would then head to San Francisco for the second round for a chance for revenge.
Look, I'm going to say this, and this is the beauty of the NFL playoffs. It has nothing to do with the Eagles here, right? If you figure it out at the right time, you can go all the way very quickly.
Yes.
Okay.
A dominant Eagles win against the Bucks could catapult them to become a very dangerous team.
If they beat the Bucks and then somehow beat the Niners, now you're back, right?
Well, that's the thing. If they win if they beat the Bucks and beat the Niners, then the Eagles are the favorites to win it all again.
And that's the thing is, like, because as you can imagine, Philadelphia fans and media are losing their mind over this team right now, so much so that we're talking about the Flyers here today in Philadelphia when we're recording.
I've heard a lot of folks. A lot of my Philly friends have already switched to hockey, which I am surprised about.
Yeah, well, that's a mistake.
The Flyers are playing well. Don't get me wrong, but
listen, the Eagles are in the play. This is the problem I have with a lot of younger fans in Philadelphia is they don't remember the years of nothing. And again, look, you know me, I'm kind of I'm a realist, but I'm also a bit of an optimist. I would say that I like to look at things more positively. I love that my team's in the playoffs. I don't like that they lost 5 of 6. No, I hate it. But they're in the playoffs. We've been in the playoffs for weeks. That's why I'm sitting here you guys don't remember when this team was horrible. You don't remember losing 3 NFC title games in a row and then losing the Super Bowl. It was nothing but pain. So the fact we're in the playoffs, I can live with that. I'm going to say it like that. I can live with that. I think the mentality
You still won 11 games this year.
Yeah, but the mentality is very Super Bowl or bust here, and I do understand why. Don't get me wrong, okay? But it's
Absolutely.
like the entitlement, like the other teams can't win sometimes. It's like Dallas 101 right now, right?
Yeah.
The only difference is Dallas has had like, a lifetime of not winning.
Yeah,
to not back them up.
been almost 30 years now since Dallas.
That's why you're so annoying. But again, it's like I don't know, man. I have a hard time hating the Eagles right now. They've brought me so much joy over the last few years. And again, was that a horrible fall apart? Yeah, it's not, it ain't over till it's over. You know what I mean? It's just like again, we'll see what happens. I won't be surprised if they lose the game. All right, but no, I'm hopeful. I hope they win. I hope they figure this out. And if not, I think if they lose this game and it comes out that Jalen Hurts has like been playing with a dislocated rib for 10 weeks, people are gonna be like, "Whoa," you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm picking the Eagles. They are the better team. Okay, there is no reason that they should not win that game. People go, "Well, they couldn't beat the Giants." Last game of the season, it had no effect on the team. It was embarrassing, sure, but like they're not playing for anything there. I don't know what to say with that one. It was embarrassing from a score standpoint, but
sure. But you're also seeing at that point Dallas is already destroying Washington, so you kind of knew.
What are you playing for? Again, look, this is the exact. Well, just rounding out the segment, right? This is a playoff team, right? This is not the woes of a non-playoff team. This is a playoff team. It doesn't matter if they have another L on the schedule at that point, right? That ship sailed. So. People will make the argument, what about momentum? What about this? I don't know what to tell you, right? Like they haven't had momentum in 5 weeks, 6 weeks. So it's like it's just par for the course. But if they wake up, which they may or may not do, watch out.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. It's gonna be interesting to see. Real quick, last football thing, not pro football, college football. College football, speaking of playoffs, the national championship was last night. Congratulations to the Michigan Wolverines, their first national title since first national title since 1997, bub.
Isn't that Thomas Brady's national championship? Thomas Brady?
Was Brady on that 97 Wolverine team?
I'm gonna find out right now. I'm gonna go to the web.
If he was, he was like a freshman or something.
No, I don't know. What have you been? Hold on.
Because he didn't debut in the NFL till 2001, I thought.
You might be right. I don't know. I'm gonna look it up right now. Wikipedia. Here's the roster. Here we go. That's not the roster. That's the schedule. Where is the darn roster? You jerks. Here we go. All right. There's offensive players.
No, you're right. He was on those. He was on the bench, but he was on that.
How did you do that faster than me? I'm here already. I just don't know what to look. Tom Brady. Congratulations.
Yeah, he was the backup to Brian Greasy, who led that team.
I hope it works out for this Brady guy.
Yeah. Greasy had an okay career in the NFL, but not quite what Tom had.
No, it's funny when I think of Greasy. It was the Bears, the Bucks. I believe he was with Miami for once.
I think so. He was with Denver for a while.
With the Broncos, yeah.
Yeah, his dad won a couple of Super Bowls. He was the Dolphins quarterback when the Shula Dolphins that won back-to-back Super Bowls in the 70s.
A lot of people forget though that see, I knew he had won a national title. That like I knew he had that. That's why I was saying like, I know he wasn't the leader of that situation.
Right. No, he was the backup, but that's true. I forgot.
Anyway, hey. Good for them. It was I was watching some of the game. It was pretty close till about the fourth quarter.
If things fell apart there, it looked like Penix Jr. got hurt.
He was hurt for sure. I put a video out
something
about
with his
today.
ribs, I believe, and at that
bruised
point,
a rib. Either bruised or broke a rib. It's funny, Ray. I put a video up today about his character after the game and playing through that. And some nut job online's like, he was clearly injured. Why wouldn't he take himself out of the game? I'm like, you obviously know nothing about brotherhood, camaraderie, and
it's the championship game. Like,
last game, and they were really out of it at the point when he was really showing. So it's like, dude, screw off. Like, I'm not coming out either.
I agree. Yeah. And I'll say this: like, people are like, does this hurt his draft stock? I don't think it does.
What, losing?
I don't think. Well, losing, I mean, he didn't have his best game, but he didn't have a bad game either, really, like, until you take away maybe that last interception of his wasn't great, but, like, it's not – Washington's defense has been susceptible the whole year, and they finally got to an offense that just ran it down their throats, and then Washington Washington couldn't win a shootout.
Does it hurt
happens.
his draft status to be in the national championship game after transferring? No.
No.
When's the last time Washington was in the national championship game?
I think it's also, I think I want to say like 92 or 93.
Yeah.
So
It doesn't hurt his draft status. You know what might hurt his draft status? If he's seriously injured himself, which I don't believe that he did.
I don't think so either. Yeah.
Because I think if he was really, really injured, he would have came out.
I've told people this 100 times. Some folks are saying the Giants are going to trade up. And if they do trade up, they don't need to trade up all the way to number 1 or number 2.
You can get this guy.
I would be okay with Michael Penix Jr. being drafted by the New York Giants.
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah. Never mind. He sounds like a NASCAR driver. He could be your quarterback.
He could be my quarterback. I'll take him. I'll take
sounds
Bo
like Truex Jr.
I actually, and I've said this before, and I've said this on the show before, and I'll say it again. I would take Bo Nix or Michael Penix over Drake May, because those are guys who have actually played in games that matter. Drake May down in North Carolina, and look, it's not a knock on North Carolina, great basketball school,
right.
But let's be honest, it's a football school. I want a guy who's played in games that matter more than a guy.
Look, there was a lot of character shown in that game, and again, like, look, I've had bruised ribs, broken ribs. I'm gonna guess he had a bruised rib because I think it was broken. I think he may have actually taken himself out at that point.
Right.
It hurts. Like, this is the thing about rib injuries; they hurt like hell, but you really can't injure yourself worse,
right?
Because they're bruised. Like, that doesn't make you more susceptible to a break. So when I see a kid play through that, which, and again, I understand. Here's what people don't understand about rib injuries, Ray, is that when you first injure a rib that bad, it hurts where you're hurt, right?
Yeah.
So that's why he kept grabbing his side. What people don't see is the hell he's about to be in for a week, potentially 2 weeks, because that pain moves towards your sternum and your backbone, right? Because you have essentially moved the rib right where it's at. So the pain travels around. I've had this so many times. It travels around your body, and it sucks. And and this guaranteed not his first rib injury, right? So like, he's playing through that, knowing that, like, this is like after a boxing fight, he's gonna be hurting, right? So I have nothing but respect for the young man.
Yeah,
but I think I'm old enough to say young man. You're not, but I am.
You're 40.
I'm 40. So I can say young man. I'll live a long day now. I'm like Tony Stark at the beginning of Iron Man.
Oh, goodness. So
that didn't make me feel any better. I'm not gonna lie to
you. Sorry. So that's football. Congrats to Michigan. Congrats to Jim Harbaugh. I'll be interested to see what he does now. There's rumors that he'll either sign a mega contract to stay at Michigan, or he might come back to the NFL. There's plenty of coaching opportunities available. So we'll see what happens. That he might come to LA. And speaking of LA, we now switch to baseball very quickly, as the Dodgers, they're building a super team. And now, Lee, I want to know, are the Dodgers the new evil empire? Can we officially remove this moniker from the Yankees for the time being, just because of the Dodgers have literally bought every major free agent this season, to Oscar Hernandez to help play the outfield, to obviously Shohei, now Yamamoto, another ace coming from Japan. Lee, are the Dodgers the evil empire now?
Well, Ray, I'm going to have a little bit of fun with this. Have you ever felt this way before about another team?
No,
never. And so you're watching another team, Ray, buy up all the available superstars and putting them together on one team. Ray, how does that make you feel?
Like, I hope we all combine our powers and do everything we can to stop them.
To stop the Dodgers, yes. And now that Shohei is there and Yamamoto is there, how do you feel about those athletes individually?
I wish nothing but the worst upon them.
Right. Ray, yes. They are now yes, that is confirmed that they are the new evil empire. And Ray, welcome to feeling like the rest of the league for the first time in your life. I still have no sympathy for the Yankees, not in any way, but I'm glad that someone has grabbed your pinky toe and started to pull and be like, "This is what it was like. This is what it was like." What's funny, Ray, is that the Phillies now, the Philly fan base is so pissed at the Eagles that they're like, "I can't wait till the 98 win Phillies destroy the undefeated Dodgers in the playoffs this year." which now kind of is that is kind of the realistic.
I mean, that's the thing. There's
You
still
know?
nothing to say that the Dodgers are going to actually do anything again in the playoffs.
No, well, listen. History shows that they're going to win a few World Series, but not as many as they should.
Right.
I'll tell you this now, taking a step back, and thank you for letting me make fun of you for a moment there, because yes, this is what it feels like, Ray, for the other 31 teams, right? No, 30 teams.
Well, 29, yeah. It's only
there's only, I'm
sorry,
baseball. Baseball will expand. But yes, the other 29, this is what it does feel like sometimes when you're watching the Yankees buy up the league. But I don't believe this is good for baseball.
Yeah.
I wish that they would remove the luxury tax. They will never do this and just have the correct type of
salary
tax.
cap.
Yeah. Now the only saving grace is kind of, I mean, when you get to the baseball playoffs, anything can happen. Teams can go cold.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean much at the end of the season, right? It just kind of solidifies that either you're gonna have a great season, Dodgers, or you're gonna be in hell.
Right.
But yeah, hey, listen, yes, Ray, I can confirm that is what it's like to be the evil empire. Everyone's gunning for the Dodgers. It will make it harder for the Dodgers to win too. The other big, just from a baseball standpoint, the other big, it's not big. The other question mark, I wouldn't even say it's a big one, is just how long can Shohei pitch? Effectively.
Yes. Well, and that is the one thing too, is that he is injury prone.
Yeah.
So
but he's earned every bit of that contract, though. I mean,
I
don't think he was going to get paid any more if he didn't get injured at the end of the year. So it's just it's good for baseball only in the sense of, you have a target.
Yeah.
And only the Dodgers, the Yankees, possibly St. Louis. I'm trying to think of teams that could do this, and it's okay, it makes sense for them.
Right.
I mean, I'm only throwing the Cardinals in because of their history.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, is there any other teams you think you can think of that could even pull something like this off? You know what I mean? And the Cardinals are kind of far down the road from the Yankees and Dodgers to me. I just think that they could.
I mean, look, when you think of even Boston is probably in that.
The Red Sox would 100%. Yeah, I'm sorry, they would 100% be there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe Boston, but that's
it.
Really about it.
Yeah, and again, equating it to basketball, Lakers.
Yeah.
Celtics. It's this, I guess, Golden State now, but Bulls in the 90s, right? I don't know if that's good for the sport.
Right.
All right. Might be good for jersey sales, might be good for video games, but
yes,
I don't know.
No, it's a good point. We'll see. We'll see what happens, but it's good to know that now funny enough, we are all united against the Dodgers the way everybody used to always be all united.
Oh no, we still hate you too. It's just less now that the Dodgers have everybody, but no, we still don't like you.
Okay.
And it's like you're here with the common folk, and you're like, can you believe this? And we're all like, yeah, yeah, we can. All right, eat your block, you rave, and get out of here.
Fair enough. Oh goodness. You mentioned Celtics Lakers. Really quickly touching about basketball. Big trade for the Knicks.
The Knicks. It says on the rundown here, Knicks.
The Knicks, the Knickerbockers. The Knicks.
Thank you.
This was, I'm not going to lie, I said it when this happened. I thought this was a really bad trade. We sent RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly to the Toronto Raptors for OJ Anunoby and Anobi. And at least in the early going,
we're not going to make an Obi-Wan Kenobi joke here. We're not going to.
No, not yet. No,
not yet. It's in the name of the show, man. No, I'm just kidding.
At least the trade has worked out. Toronto is getting the offense production that they desperately needed. The Knicks defense has honestly kind of risen to an elite level with OG, because that is, I mean, Thibodeau, our coach, who once upon a time coached Kawhi Leonard or worked with Kawhi Leonard, said that he feels that OG is actually the best defender in the league right now, which is saying something. Or this is it. So far, the trade has worked out for both teams. Toronto's gone 3-1 since the trade. The Knicks have gone 4-0. And the Knicks haven't just gone 4-0. They've destroyed some really good teams. They beat the 76ers by 30. They beat the Timberwolves. They're playing tonight, trying to extend that winning streak to 5, as there's an interesting log jam in the middle in the Eastern Conference. 5 teams, including the Knicks is one of them, tied at 21-15 for the 4 seed. obviously a lot of play. We're not even we're almost at the halfway point, but we're not quite there yet. So a lot of basketball still has to
Playoffs.
play. But yeah, no, exactly. But I'll admit that I might have been wrong when I said this was a bad trade, because as at least right now, it looks like it's helping both.
Well,
both
Ray, all it confirms is that you're not in the locker room, and GMs know more than we do that are there all the time. That's all. And that's true across the board. It's true for me.
Yeah.
Trades, a big misconception of professional sports trading is that, and this is because of the video games in the world and the gaming aspect, is that one team should lose, one team should win. And it's not how trades are made. most now look, if a GM can get an advantage on someone, they're going to do it. But
Right.
most trades are made with the intention of both teams will get better, right?
Yeah.
That's why trades are made. So I think this is just a textbook beautiful trade.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, and also it's cleared up some of the logjam offensively for the Knicks. So Brunson and Randall and other guys are playing better as well.
Yeah,
And
it's a good trade.
It seems like it was a trade that was very good for both teams. But we'll see how it pans out.
Yeah, it's
we'll see how. It's still very early. Again, it's only 4 games in, but at least both teams since the trade, 3-1 for Toronto, 4-0 for the Knicks. And the Knicks, all the stats for the Knicks have improved since then, both defensively and offensively. So that's an interesting footnote. We'll keep an eye on this as the year continues. Lots of you know what else is interesting? We've got a whole new sports league that emerged over the holiday. The Professional Women's Hockey League has been born and has begun, and the New York hockey team, the goalie got the first shutout in the first game of the league. So that's something that the New York club can have to its distinction, because I don't think they have mascots. They're just the New York.
They're just it's PWHL New York, PWHL Minnesota. Right. Yep. Very interesting approach. Yeah.
Yes. So go New York, go New York, go. Good always to see that, because of course I'm always just going to have to root for the New York team. But Lee, this is also setting all kinds of attendance records for women's sports. It looks like it's averaging over 10. Most of the games are averaging over 10,000 attendees per game. 8 to 10,000
per game. Each team seems to be breaking the previous team's attendance record, keeping in mind that from the first game that was set. But there was a game with, I think, 13,000 fans the other day.
Yes.
Out in Minnesota. So the key thing you said there is breaking records in women's sports. This is not just limited to hockey. Now, 2 things have to happen. This has to continue, right? It cannot just be a one-time thing and then it goes down to 500 people in the building, okay? But I think that there's no team mascots, right? Because I think this is all part of the unification of, look, we are a women's professional league. Yeah. We are unified. For those of you who don't know, women's professional hockey has had a lot of issues over the last 5 or 6 years of getting organized. There's been 2 leagues. There's been 1 league. There's been issues. International hockey is always fun, but USA has played Canada forever for gold medal. So what you're seeing here is the dawn of a women's league that is now, as of today, succeeding. And again, I'm not trying to poo-poo on the WNBA, but the WNBA loses money every year, right? It is a fantastic league with fantastic talent. You are seeing now the dawn of the first women's league that is a financial success as of today. So I hope this goes well beyond hockey. I hope people are taking notes. I think that anyone who says people don't care about women's sports should shut up and go to hell. I am so tired of that argument. I am so tired of that argument. All right. I felt that way before I had a daughter, but my daughter now lives in a world where professional hockey for women is a thing. All right. That is a massive achievement. That is a perspective that so many people don't have, of that now it's normalized. Goes beyond obviously just little girls. My son's seeing it too, right? There's a lot of things that are going on here. But there's a future now for female hockey players. So just fantastic stuff from the PWHL, unifying, creating themselves, finding a way forward. The key is continued success, though. You don't have to meet that attendance record every night, but you do need to maintain the thousands of fans per game. And Ray, the cool thing about the product on the ice, because I think a lot of the support right now is just support, is they're allowing them to play. It is far more physical than any form of women's hockey I have ever seen. They are hitting basically. I mean, there's still some different rules. They've changed some rules. So one of the new rules is if you score while shorthanded, your player gets released from the box. Like, you're rewarded for scoring shorthanded.
Which I think is a fantastic rule.
I love that too. Right. So it's being done the right way. My only regret or issue with it is there's not a team super close to me outside New York that I can go watch.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to be able to get to one of these games at some point. I want to make a concerted effort to do it to show my support.
Yeah.
But also, I obviously in my line of work, I know plenty of female hockey players, and they're damn good. So
Yeah.
I love it. I love it for women's sports. I love it for women hockey players. I love it for sports in general. It's a good thing,
Yeah.
right? And we'll see how this evolves.
Yeah. Cannot wait to see more of it, and go New York, go New York, go. Say it again. Speaking of, you mentioned about different leagues and leagues merging and all this other stuff. Actually, we had a very interesting merger complete also over the holidays. The USFL and the XFL, which had been for the last few years, the spring football leagues. Obviously, The Rock and his ownership group bought the XFL, the second version, away from Vince McMahon again, because he was selling it after the pandemic, and understandably so. But 8 teams survive. Several from each league. Once again, the New York, New Jersey area loses their team. But it's going to be interesting to see. And I think this is the right move, because I think that as much as we all love football, I definitely don't think there was enough room for 2 spring leagues. And I think that I think they're calling it the UFL, the United Football League.
Brilliant man.
Yes, I agree. I think this is going to be I think this is going to be a win.
Oh, it's a huge
And
success.
I cannot wait to see what happens, and I really hope that they bring a team to New York and or LA soon. So
yeah, look, what's beautiful about this merger, first off, this was a year in the works. If you remember, Ray, they were talking about this, I believe, before last season, but nothing happened. Again, they had said the talks had broken down, and what I believe happened from a business standpoint is they said, look, play your season, we're going to play our season. Let's find what teams succeed. We'll merge after this season. Let's give it a year. Right. I think also from the USFL's front, it's like, look, get a year under your belt, because the first year didn't work because of COVID.
right.
Right. So they got a year under it. They saw revenues. They saw who was succeeding. It's no surprise to me the teams that are there. Right. And that's what they did. It was a brilliant business move. A lot of people, again, everyone in sports wants everything immediately done now. Let's get it moving. That's not how business works. You got to have the long game. You got to be able to see a year in the future. So I think that this was in the works for a long time. The other thing too, and this is where Dwayne Johnson's been pretty brilliant, keeps telling that story about being the extra man on the roster that didn't make the lineup, and how there's a lot of those people. This is your minor league now for football.
Yes.
Right? A lot of XFL and USFL players do go on to the NFL.
Yep.
And I think it also alleviates, maybe alleviates isn't the right word. It also takes some onus off the NCAA now as that minor league development thing, which I think
and also it means that those guys' careers aren't over if they don't get drafted or whatnot.
And
right?
and it gives you an extra few years now to prove yourself, and it gives the NFL a minor league system, basically, for lack of a better word. And look, the spring football gap was real. I think people do enjoy watching football when the NFL is not on. I know there's a little overlap there, but the point is that this is good for football. Football needed a minor league after the NFL Europe completely collapsed on itself.
Yes.
Right. And again, you got some cool characters running it. And it's a great move. Like it's a feel good moment, right? It's a feel good. They're starting with the 2 champions facing off each other, which is very historic with football. When you think about the Super Bowl, I mean, it's just well done. And I really wish them success. I also think it's funny. I'm not going to the geek section yet, but this will help you segue a little bit. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has not been kicking ass at the box office like he used to. And then he got into a little bit of turmoil with the Hawaii fun thing he was trying to do. And I think it's funny, Ray, that he is suddenly wearing glasses everywhere. Right? I think about it. It's like, have you noticed that he's always wearing his glasses now? It's like a little bit of a softer look. And again, I don't see it on the rundown, but the one thing about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is when things are not firing, he can always go home. He can always go back home. So I'll let you if you want to dive into that.
Yes.
I think it's pretty obvious what's going to happen here over the next 4 months.
Yes, I definitely want to talk about what he just did. But really quickly, just before we do transition into that, I do also want to mention
it's still sports. It's still sports.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
What's also I also paying homage to their past. The 2 conferences for the UFL are called the USFL conference and the XFL conference.
You want to root for this league to succeed. Like it feels good. It doesn't feel like the XFL being a sideshow like it was. Like this is like, wow, spring football. They really care. this has been so beautifully done, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Yeah.
And again, I guess we're both rooting for the DC Defenders now. That's the closest team.
For the moment, right? Because the Birmingham Stallions survived, the Houston Roughnecks, the Memphis Showboats, the Michigan Panthers, and then that's the USFL, and then the XFL, the Arlington Renegades, the San Antonio Brahmas. So again, Texas still has 3 teams. The St. Louis Battlehawks, because they were one of the 2 liveliest crowds across either league was in St. Louis, because they're still trying to stick it to the NFL for moving the Rams. And the DC Defenders, because all hail the beer snake.
Yep. Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
The beer snake.
Yeah, it's been fun. It makes a lot of sense that all those teams are in Texas. It's funny now. Now would have been the perfect time for Philadelphia to unveil a team. I would have called them the Philadelphia Comeback, and then just Philadelphia won't let you downs. Philadelphia soft pretzels. Philadelphia Water Ice. It's a lot of names. The Johns. Go Johns. That Philadelphia Johns. JAWNS. Helping you out, Philadelphia.
The Wawas.
The Wawas. It's a bird.
Yeah. But speaking of The Rock, it's also very brilliant. He has gone back home. He has gone back to the WWE. He has basically said he is gunning for Roman Reigns, possibly going after the Universal title. We'll see how it shakes out. It's going to be really interesting. The Royal Rumble is Roman Reigns defending the title in a 4-way match. Does The Rock get involved and screw Roman over? Does Roman's other family members get involved? But it feels like it's all building up to WrestleMania, which would also be right around the time to kick off the UFL season. And The Rock is like, let's get as many eyeballs on this as possible.
It is absolutely. I'm going to hit the reset button on my career again. I'm going back home. I will get to WrestleMania. I will revive myself. I will have a better match than I did last time and move on with my life. He will not win the Universal title.
No, he will not win. He will not win.
But I do think he would allow. I
do think they are going to have a very solid 3 to 4 month program with him. Right. I do think they are going to try to keep the title on Roman until just after SummerSlam, so he can break Hogan's record.
Right. I could see Roman losing the title after that, and The Rock helping him get it back, or something like that, or they just build it up to Rock versus him, and Roman wins. It's that simple.
Well, and that's the thing. It is one of 2 things are going to happen. If Roman doesn't drop the title at the Royal Rumble because of interference from somebody, I think Roman holds the title all the way through past SummerSlam, so he breaks Hogan's record.
And again, I think that 2 things. I don't think he breaks Hogan's record. I'm gonna be honest with you. All right, because I don't think they want that record to be broken. I think The Rock does something that make him lose it. And The Rock has to come out of this looking like a good guy. Right. So he would do something to become a heel, help him lose it. I mean, assuming that would make him a heel, and then help him win it back at WrestleMania. And then that final image of him leaving with his hand up in the air. And then Mick Foley comes in to grab his hand with the sock, and they walk out together. The Rock and sock connection.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Yeah, by the way, we just got a wind warning here in LA.
Oh my God!
Yeah, so
it's windy.
It's wind. Yeah, so
everybody watch out.
Yeah, so look out. The wind is coming.
I let everybody know here, Ray.
Thank you. But honestly, here's the thing. You remember, Roman's the bad guy. So I think that actually, this is what I think could happen.
They flip him heel to babyface with this?
No. So I think what's going to happen is, Roman has retained the title a lot of times because of his cousins helping him, whether it's Solo Sikoa or the Usos or whatever. And I think in the Fatal 4-Way, you're going to have that again. And what happens is, instead, is The Rock comes down to even the odds, takes them out. And so this way, The Rock stays face. But then you have Randy Orton win at the Rumble. That gives Randy Orton a 15. That's his 15th title, which puts him 1 away from Flair and Cena. And they've already insinuated they're going to let Randy break that record, break Flair and Cena's. They've insinuated that. So that's one way to get him 1 step closer.
Right.
And then you just have Rock versus Roman in a rivalry match for the head of the table.
That was another one that people had been talking about. Our good friend Savi at New to Wrestling had predicted that as well.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what happens here. It's a hard reset for DJ, for The Rock.
Yes.
Which means he'll have movies coming out in the XFL and everything else.
Yes. So
Q4 writer's strike really affected him. You know who didn't have a writer's strike? Triple H.
Yes, that's right.
So, still alive there. Yeah, this is where they would have planned all that too.
Yeah.
Listen, DJ, here's what I want you to do. Get some glasses. We'll put on the glasses. It makes you look softer. Okay. Yeah. And then go back to the WWE so you look harder. and then launch a football league so you look great. And then
Yeah.
Q4, we'll have a new movie out where you're part of the Santa Claus Brigade.
Yes, that's right. You kill Tim Allen and you take over as the Santa Claus.
I'm not kidding. He has a film coming out with Ryan Reynolds where he's some sort of Santa Claus Brigade. That was not a joke.
Oh boy,
but I one.
I did not. It sounds like a joke. Oh boy, I don't know. All I know is, well, there's a lot of other movies coming out. We're not talking about movies today, but I'm really excited for the next few months because we know at some point Ghostbusters is coming.
A lot of stuff was announced today too. They announced a Mandalorian film today.
Yes,
John Favreau is going to direct.
That's what I was going to say.
Ahsoka season 2 has been announced.
Yes,
so
a lot of Star Wars.
I'm very happy right now.
Yes, I'm also excited for Mandalorian movie. I think right now it's just titled Mandalorian and Grogu, but I think that's a working title.
They should keep that as the title.
What are you going to see
this weekend? Mandalorian and Grogu.
Yeah, I know. Yes. But yeah, so that of course all spanning off of obviously the Mandalorian and Ahsoka on Disney Plus. Other thing on Disney Plus, this that we saw over the holidays. I actually binged it yesterday. I finished it because I was out of town and was able to watch it day by day. What If season 2? And I really enjoyed this overall, Lee. I really thought they did a great job of linking it back to season 1. Again, establishing new characters who have a bit of a payoff, including a completely original character for the show, for the Marvel Universe. I hope she ends up getting a comic book now or something. I hope I'm saying this correctly. Kahori,
yeah.
Right? She kind of absorbs the energy of the Tesseract and gets very much kind of like spatial powers that allow her to make portals and super speed and some telepathy. Telekinesis, excuse me. Not telepathy. That is reading of the minds. Telekinesis is moving things with your mind. So that's she got some telekinesis. But I really loved it. They went to the 1602 universe, which I was super excited about. If you're not familiar with that Neil Gaiman comic, it is a classic. It gets probably bound together now in a graphic novel. If you can find them, buy them. Just a really, really terrific job overall. They paid homage to movies like Die Hard with Happy Hogan becoming Hulk Hogan. No pun intended. He becomes a Hulk, basically. Lee, let me ask you, what was your favorite episode of the 9 episodes?
Yeah, it's funny. I wrote this down. So I'm going to kind of go through a little different. These are all spoiler alerts if you haven't seen it yet. I want to start with this. Season 1 was better, but season 2 was not bad, right? Yeah. I had a lot of fun with season 2. I'm really happy that they came out one day after another. It was really cool to sit down with my son and watch these every day. It was something to look forward to do with him.
Yeah.
The payoff episode 9, was fun, but it did not beat out last year's payoff episode.
Agreed.
At all. In fact, I don't even think it was close. It was just very fun. So that leaves me with 3 episodes that I have circled here. It was What If Happy Hogan Saved Christmas. I actually really enjoyed that. It was very Christmassy, very funny, very making fun of itself, but I had a lot of fun with it. So I really enjoyed that.
The Werner Herzog AI was
brilliant. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I just had a lot of fun with that. Episode 6, What If Kahori Reshaped the World?
Yeah.
It's new, it was fun, I enjoyed it. And the other episode is episode 7, What If Odin Conquered the 9 Realms and Hela?
That's my favorite. That's my favorite one, actually.
Yeah, I enjoyed each one of these. If we're just talking classic comic book feeling, episode 7 with Odin and Hela wins it for me.
Yeah.
It was good story. It was deep. Yeah. You saw a redemption arc. I really enjoyed that. I like seeing Hela again.
Yes.
I like seeing Dark Odin. I even like seeing the 10 Rings become part of it. But I think that one and the Happy Hogan Save Christmas were my favorites. Again, this season was different. And again, I think that what hurt them was that we weren't expecting it to combine last year. And when it did, it was like, wow, that's awesome. So you knew something like that was going to happen. And it didn't have as big of a payoff. So I think that was a great story. The Odin one I'm talking about with Hela. And I'd probably pick that as my top, with Kahori and the Christmas episode being right there.
Yeah, I would go the Hela episode 7 as my number 1. I go 1602 as number 2.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy that one as much. For whatever reason. It just didn't hit for me. I think also the reason why, again, spoiler alert, is that suddenly the Watcher is talking to Captain Carter, and then Doctor Strange. It was a little too
it
convenient.
was trying too hard to keep the overarching story together.
Yeah.
But if you ignored that and just focused, for me anyway, the 1602 elements,
Yes.
those are the things that
They
really
were
put it over
fun.
the top.
Yeah. So what I wish they had done was actually start with that and then revisit it later.
Yeah.
Some of these I could have done without. Like again, episode 5, what if Captain Carter fought Hydra Stomper? It was a continuation of last year's episode, but
Yes.
last year's episode with Steve Rogers being the Hydra Stomper was so good. I mean,
Yes.
it was a really great
Yeah.
episode, right? And this one just was like, it was like a sequel. It just wasn't as good.
Well, and the thing is, it was trying to establish that basically Captain Carter is, if they do a season 3, she's really the multiversal Avenger, right?
Yeah.
She's the one, like, she is always the linchpin saving
she's the main character, right, of this universe, which
where
is
I
great.
think, as to your point last year, it didn't feel like there was a main character.
No, you figured they were just going to do this and it would just end. It was just a bunch of what ifs, just like the comics. So
yeah,
when they combined, it was great. And again, episode 9 where they combined again, it was cool. Like I said, I didn't hate it. I'm not poo-pooing it. It was a good.
I liked seeing all the different versions of everyone.
Yeah, me too.
In the jailbreak scene, which was fun, but it was not the payoff.
No,
of Arnim Zola and all the other stuff from last year.
The continuation that was cool was that obviously at the end of season 1, Strange gets those world killers in a lock, and they continue that. Oh, he realized that if he can get more of them together, he can restart his own universe. Which I get, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know if I wanted that character to be, revived and then sacrifice himself. I kind of liked where they had left him in eternal hell of just having to watch over it.
Right.
I kind of wish they had left him there, because to me, that's more of a, that's your penance. And again, going to the funny part about that is then they ended the show, they ended the season on the other character that's doing that, Loki, which I appreciated. So the final shot, again,
is the new world tree that Loki has created from Loki.
And then obviously people go, oh my God, they're gonna meet the Watcher. No, I don't think this is gonna have anything to do with anything moving forward. It was just a nice callback.
Yes, it's just a nice thing that if they were to go back to the multiverse again, maybe we see Loki, our Loki at some point. So it was a good season overall. I agree. I think season 1 was better because I think season 1 had to continue climb, whereas season 2, again, I think peaked with episode 7. And
well, I'm gonna say it again. It was fun. I'm glad they did it every day. I think that was the right move.
I think it was a great way. Yeah,
I enjoyed it. We'll see where they go from here, if anywhere.
Yes. Well, and I think, the next thing I think is Echo. All 5 episodes of that are releasing this week.
It's coming soon. Yeah, I'm very curious to see if they can hold my attention. I hope it does.
People are saying it's very good.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. If it's rated R.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah. I'm trying to see what's the release schedule. Real quick. Let's see. Echo. Oh, Echo premieres tonight, the night we're recording, all 5 episodes.
There you go.
All drops. So we are recording on January the 9th.
Yeah.
So everything. So maybe we'll see what our schedule is like, but maybe we'll also do that next week. But we'll see. So no promises there, because I was very concerned about Echo. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
You know who else is concerned from Disney right now? They're very concerned about specifically Steamboat Willie, and the earliest version of Mickey Mouse has entered the public domain.
Right.
And which means that everyone is like, let's make him a horror character. So very Five Nights at Freddy's-ish or whatever. Basically, Steamboat Willie, and on the ship, he's a serial killer, is Mickey Mouse. And we've already seen a couple of different people are making horror versions. But this is what happens when a character enters the public domain, at least nowadays. And this is why Disney the public domain rules were changed by Disney. They lobbied Congress to extend this, but finally they couldn't extend it any further. Lee, what are your thoughts on the oldest version of Mickey now being in the public domain, and immediately people being like, let's make him a murderer?
You should never go after the mouse. Give Disney some time. This is like, Avengers. I'll keep it in Disney. Does an ant worry about a boot, or does a boot worry about an ant?
Yeah, right.
All right. You should never go after the mouse. They will retaliate and destroy you. But look, at the same time, it's all a joke, right? Like,
Right.
and that's how Disney's going to approach it. This is a joke to them. They can't do anything about it. So you let the people are not, look, I'm a parent. You don't want to mess with Disney with me. Like, I need it for my kids. So yes, do not mess with the mouse.
Indeed. Let's see. We're going to get into some gaming news and actually some breaking gaming news. It sounds like there's reports that Twitch is about to lay off another 35% of their workforce soon. So no details on that yet. That is breaking as we are recording. So not good there. But some more firings may be coming down. At least I'm going to predict some because so right now, I don't know if you folks have been hearing about we talked about it, I think, a bit. The new Suicide Squad game. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. It's supposed to take place in the Arkhamverse. And obviously, it's basically you play as Harley Quinn and King Shark and Captain Boomerang, and you have to stop a Brainiac, the Justice League, who have been possessed or mind controlled by Brainiac. It has been in closed alpha for some time.
Yeah.
I have friends who have been in that alpha. Also, preview builds and preview events have started, and the press have started to talk about the game in a preview format. And I want to just rely on my experience as somebody who was a previews and reviews editor who went to literally hundreds of these kinds of events. Typically, you always want to give a game developer the benefit of the doubt when it's a preview event because you're only seeing a slice, right? You also want to take it with a grain of salt, right? If it's something you really like, you're like, well, they are showing us the most polished, perfect version they could of this 30 minutes of gameplay. Or, again, it's like, well, this is only 30 minutes. I may not have liked it, but there's potential here. In fact, one of the perfect examples is when they rebooted Wolfenstein. I remember when I played, that was one of the games where I played, they gave us a half-hour build, and I played it, and I was like, this is good, but I don't see it being very special. Right. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, if, I mean, we always talk, right? Obviously, you don't give a final score until you play the full thing, but I was like, this feels like it's going to be a 7. The game came out, and I loved it. Once I got the whole experience, that was the one time where I was like, oh, this is like a high 8, low 9 game. This was phenomenally done, right? But most of the time, you end up kind of you get a good vibe of what the game is going to be from the preview event, and the bigger game is really just more of that. So it is a very bad sign when the entire gaming industry, from IGN to like Game Rant to GameSpot, every major site is saying that Kill the Justice League is one of the worst things they have all ever played, and they're only playing an hour of it. And I can also tell you that my friends who are in the closed alphas are also saying this is going to be a disaster for Rocksteady and Warner Brothers. This isn't going to be Kill the Justice League. This is going to kill Rocksteady. This is their first game release in 9 years. This game has been in development hell. It has been rebooted and relaunched and redone again and again. And if all of this talk is to be believed, and if these previews are accurate, this game will be DOA. This will be, and to the point where I've read so much about it now and seen the previews and seen footage, that this was a game that, like, I'm going to say this, and I'm the biggest DC fan in the world, I will not buy this game. I was going to buy it just because I wanted to see what they were going to do with it. I will not give them a single red cent unless there's a miracle and the final everybody changes their mind. Again, the game comes out next month, so that's highly unlikely. Like, this game is like done, right? Like, and it's already been delayed numerous times. We were talking about this game last year, and it got delayed another year, and it's still being absolutely just burned alive by the press. This is kind of not unprecedented, but it's definitely very, very, very rare for the industry to collectively just crap on a game in previews, not reviews, previews, that for everybody to be so offended by this content that everybody is talking about, that this could be, that is not only the death of the Arkhamverse, but that maybe our favorite, guy who gets hit by a bus, David Zaslav. By the way, David Zaslav, congratulations. I'm going to put you in front of the bus again. You're first two-time bus winner. Who wants to talk about possibly merging Warner Brothers with Paramount now. This could be another chance for him to kill another studio, to kill another studio, to lay off more people, to make that merger a little bit easier as he continues to only just basically burn all of Warner Brothers to the ground. It's again, nothing has happened yet. The game will release, but boy, this is a really, really bad sign that already the games press are taking their shots at this, basically calling it an absolute travesty and a disaster to the legacy of Rocksteady. Lee, what are your thoughts on Warner Brothers screwing the pooch again?
Well, actually, I'm going to reverse it to you for a question. Is there anything anyone can do to save this game?
At this point, no.
Yeah. So
now I want to say this. I haven't seen the preview build. I haven't played in the closed alpha. My thought was I want to see what the final product is.
Right.
But at this point, so many people are lambasting it. I don't even want to see the final product.
Yeah. What's interesting, because I remember the trailer that came out years ago was actually really cool. But it wasn't a gameplay trailer for obvious reasons.
Right.
What's interesting about this for me is that the gaming industry is so big that it is devouring itself. And it's like, you're seeing things like this happen. And it's like so much more money than motion pictures, right?
Oh yeah, it just came out. The games industry made $181 billion last year.
Insane,
right? That is more than the movie industry, music industry, and all four major sports combined.
Yeah, and it's like, so like when movies can't crash, movies can't really bomb. In the gaming industry, it's like you really can bomb. I mean, we saw this a few years ago with Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
The Avengers game, I wouldn't say it was a complete bomb, but it wasn't a success.
I mean, it had its plug pulled eventually.
Right? Of course it did. It had nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm just sitting back, and you said it before, the amount of people being laid off in this industry, the amount of million to $billion gambles being made.
Yes.
This is ready for a volcanic eruption and tectonic shift. I just don't know. I don't know how it's going to play out.
Yeah. No. Another fun fact, folks.
The bubble.
Over the course of last year, the film, TV, and video game industry lost more jobs in a non-crisis year than ever before. That means that's only the COVID year of 2020 and the housing crisis year of 2008 caused more job loss in the gaming industry, and there was no crisis last year.
Yeah, it's just idiots running, the blind leading the blind here. But
yeah,
I think there's a bubble here, Ray. I think it's going to pop. And I'm going to make a very bold prediction as I do that this is VR's time to step in. This is the moment to step in.
So of that 100, that's a wonderful segue.
You're welcome, Ray. I'm here for you, my friend.
But of that $181 billion that was made last year for the games industry, $5 billion for the first time ever, VR and AR cracked the $5 billion mark of that. So $5 billion of that
sounds so small when you say it next to that's not a small amount of money.
No, that's more than like several of the sports leagues.
Nobody in the world is worth that much.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. And that is just the VR and AR component of the game.
That's 1,000 million 5 times.
Yeah.
You have to understand that. Like that's unbelievable.
Yeah. So for the first time it cracked $5 billion. That's a big deal. And because now and not surprisingly, Apple's been working on something for a while. They have announced here at CES, which of course is the Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas this week, the Apple Vision Pro, which is their AR/VR headset. It's basically taking the iOS landscape that many of us are familiar with, and you can put it out in the world. You put these glasses on, by the way, which also will have prescription glasses for people who wear glasses like myself. So you can just put these on your head. And Lee, we're one step closer to Ready Player One, because if this gets any decent games and
did you see the headset? It looks just like it. I mean,
it looks just like it.
Yeah. I mean, again, they only gave a 2-second preview of augmented reality, and the augmented reality was just, here's your menu screen, like you said.
Right.
And again, the Quest Meta Quest 3 was just released not too long ago. Yes. So hey, now this is where the inflection point is. Game on. Now there's competition.
Yes.
The Apple, the people who love Apple are going to get into this.
Yes, or try to anyway.
This is, again, I've seen this before, Ray, where the gaming industry is too big. It is bloated. It is a bubble. It will pop. And that's why I said it. I think VR, this is the moment to
Yes.
come through now.
Yeah. And what's also great about this headset is that it has a 2.5-hour battery life, which means you can unplug it from the direct thing and you can walk around with it.
Well,
there is one
MetaQuest can do that too. I'm just saying,
yes,
they are
yes.
they are. The point is that this is good. Like, this is good for that side of the industry.
Yes.
You know, I this is a little tease. I will be having some MetaQuest 3 content coming out as I have made a deal with someone. So that's a little tease that I hope to share on this show a little bit too. So I will be getting into the VR space a little bit. Actually, it really is a Geeks Who Like Sports mix. So we'll talk about that. But yeah, look, I just think this is the time. And they have to execute, because VR has tried and failed many times, right?
Yes.
But when this bubble pops, when it's popping,
yeah,
right? Like, that's the other thing about too. People don't recognize the bubble and the pop until it happens. I think it's happening. I think you're seeing.
I think so too. I think so too.
Yeah, and
I think that,
like, I'd get my money out of the stocks right now.
The games industry is going to continue to bleed jobs for at least another 6 months. I've talked to some more pessimistic folks that says it's going to take another 2 years before this starts to turn around.
Look, they will do it until it's not making money. All right. When you're talking billions, hundreds of billions of dollars, it's going to be a long time before it's not making money. All right. It's like the oil industry. Like, they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop until there's no need for oil anymore. They're going to, look, I'll give you a great historical example. Yellow Pages. All right. Yellow Pages were around for 100 years. Google comes around. There are still Yellow Pages around, and people go, how can people still use that? Well, people still use it. If it makes $1 million, it makes $1 million.
Yeah.
Right. So they're going to bleed it dead. But yeah, I suspect it's like kind of when the iPhone came out and you see all the smartphones start to become Apple, or Androids.
Right.
I think a shift like that is coming. So if you're a betting man, you might want to put some money down on Facebook or Apple at this point.
Yeah.
And again, Ray, I think this will. If Microsoft and Sony are not already planning for this now, I'd be shocked.
Yeah.
Shocked.
Well, I mean, that's the thing.
Really
we know Sony already has, obviously, the PSVR 2. I'm sure they're already working on the next thing.
Yes.
But yeah, it's the only thing with the Vision Pro is the price point, which was announced at $34
million. Yes.
Well, $3,500, right? Which is a lot.
$500 a computer.
Well, that's the idea, right? Is that it's a computer plus, right? So a computer plus a gaming thing.
Well, this is what's funny. I mean, and we can move on, right? Ray, and this is cool. Who is the leader right now in VR headsets?
Oculus.
It's Meta, right? Yes, Oculus by Meta. And now Apple has entered the game. You are seeing the shift happen in real time. And I think people are missing it. So I really think Microsoft has got to be heavily involved in this right now, right? Because the people leading Microsoft, they're 10 years ahead. They're not thinking about today. They're way past Xbox S and X and Series X. So I want everybody to listen to what we just said. The leaders in VR technology as of this moment are Meta and probably Apple as of today.
Yeah.
And they've never sold one.
Yeah.
So think about that.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting to see what happens over the next few years. And I wouldn't be surprised yet if that $5 billion slice of the $181 billion starts to shift a little bit.
It's going to shift quickly.
Yeah.
And keep in mind too, they're only going to get better at making these games.
Right. Oh, for sure.
And experiences, right?
Yeah.
I can't wait to go. I'm ready for the Oasis.
Half of that money is from mobile, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of these mobile games are going to very easily be able to probably go into the VR AR landscape
quickly.
So, yeah. So this will be interesting to see.
Tectonic plates are moving.
Absolutely.
I hope you're not on the island with the volcano. Otisburg, Ray. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Well, and especially in another thing that might be hurting the more traditional game industry is China is implementing an interesting law.
China's hurting a lot of people, right? But we don't need to get into geopolitical stuff right now. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, we're we're going to talk just about their loot box restrictions. That China is finally clamping down on it and saying that certain kinds of loot boxes, and this is something we had a discussion 10 years ago, but obviously lobbyists and all this other stuff in Washington kind of got shoved under the carpet. They're like, it's a form of gambling. You're paying money to basically spin a slot machine to get basically an NFT, which is like a skin or a weapon or whatever it is that you're really looking for a particular game. So certain kinds of loot boxes now are going to be either restricted, and they said the only way you could go around it is where you can guarantee people if they pay like more traditional DLC, if you pay $1, you'll get this skin. You pay $1, you get this gun. But no more of this RNG, the random number generator of pay $1, maybe get the gun. Pay $1, maybe get the skin. Pay $1, pay $1, pay $1, pay $1. And this is something that has been, kind of not plagued, but definitely the game industry had shifted for the most part, shifted away from. But definitely, if this could be the nail in the coffin for any more of those mechanics, as China completely clamping down on
I gotta be honest with you, kind of agree with it.
Yes,
and it's very rare that I will agree with China on things, but I as a parent, I do not want my kids doing anything that has to do with gambling or creating behavior that would lead towards gambling, and that is what this is.
Yeah.
Now, from an American standpoint, people will say it's unconstitutional. You can't tell people what to do. Well, I can tell someone under 21 they can't gamble.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's where this falls, right?
Right.
For me. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
And again, obviously, like most things, it's like, how do you regulate that? How do you watch that? I mean, that's for other people to decide. But no, I don't want my 10-year-old asking me for $1 to spin the wheel to see if you can get something that has absolutely no real world value. At least in gambling, you might win something that you can use.
Yeah.
Right. Again, so I'm not against this. I wish we would implement something like this here. And I think that again, this is another instance of too much greed going into the gaming universe. NBA games kind of went overboard with it, and everybody followed suit, and here we are.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Is that like, you look at Overwatch, right? You can spend money to get in-game currency to get yourself another loot box.
I don't even like using free in-game currency that you've earned to do this. I just don't think it's good for anybody. And again, like, and you know what I'm saying? I'm saying even if you can earn points and use them to gamble, I don't like that. I don't think it's good.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a trait I would want my children to learn.
Yeah, no, for sure. I agree. I do agree with this as well. I mean, we've talked about this forever, that microtransactions and whatnot, I get has become a very profitable section of the industry.
Massively profitable. Yeah.
Yes. But it's also
there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. And I think this is wrong. Yeah. If my kid wants to buy a skin and it's like, I'm paying and I get the skin, like you said before, sure. It's a transaction. Okay. It's not, that's not, it gives me the opportunity as a parent to say, look, maybe you shouldn't buy that and save your money and do these things. Right. But the gambling stuff, it only builds addiction. And I just don't think we need anybody out there with that. It's not going to be mentally healthy for anybody. No. And I think that I agree. I just agree that they should restrict that.
Yep. Absolutely. Another thing, well, this was funny. So somebody on Sky News, a presenter, kind of went viral this week for making fun of a kid who she said something he should try to diversify and she should go do something and maybe get outdoors, is what she said. Because I want to make sure I get his name correct, because it I felt was really, really impressive. The first kid, he's 13 years old. Yep. His name is Willis Gibson.
Of course it is. Willis? What you talking about, Willis?
Yes, Willis Gibson. He is the first human to ever get the true kill screen in Tetris.
Yeah, it's amazing.
He got to level, they suspect, at level 157, and that basically he's a 13-year-old prodigy, and that he really loved playing Tetris because it was something he did with his dad, who has passed away, and he continued to do so, and has become basically he's competed in Tetris tournaments before.
He's the Bobby Fischer of Tetris now.
Basically, and he's the first person ever, because for folks who have seen things like King of Kong, like a kill screen in one of these old school games, is basically that you've gotten so far that the computer has just stopped being able to generate new levels, right? You see it in Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, Missile Command, et cetera, et cetera. It's always been
the only way to beat the game is to break the game.
And this had been done once before with AI for Tetris, against Tetris.
You can watch that video. Yeah.
Yes, but this is the first time a human being, their reflexes were enough to beat Tetris and get the kill screen.
I think for anybody who hasn't seen this, you have to understand how fast the pieces are falling at this level.
Yeah.
There is no way I could get close to this And it
It's
would be a
almost
13-year-old.
instantaneous.
Yeah,
It's insane.
it would be a 13-year-old that would be able to do it. Like that's another thing about gaming. People don't realize the younger you are, kind of past puberty, the faster your reactions are.
Yeah.
So congratulations, this kid. He almost passed out when he did it. He was that excited. He knew exactly what he had done.
Yes.
In fact, I think a few moments before he's even saying like, "Come on, break."
Yeah.
And again, some weird things start happening that late in the game. Like the color schemes get really weird.
Yeah.
Like the English on the screen starts to get really jumbled.
Yeah.
So it's just a testament to gaming that, this game, which is what, almost 40 years old.
I was gonna say almost 40 years old.
Is
and he broke it in almost 40 minutes.
yeah. Well, and here's the thing. It's like, it's still relevant today. It just shows you the power of that. And like, the power of Tetris as a game too. I should tell everybody, I recommend everybody go watch that movie about Tetris. And it coming to America. It's a fantastic film. I can't remember. I think it might just be called Tetris. But
or the Tetris effect maybe or something.
No,
or
I can't remember. I'm gonna find it right now. Hold on. But it's really,
it was faster. I think you're right. It's just called Tetris. I think
it was a very good movie. It was on Apple TV, I think.
Yeah, it's starring Taron Edgerton.
It's called Tetris. Yeah,
it is just called Tetris. Lee, you were correct.
So, thank you. Yeah, it happens a lot. Anyway, Tetris. Go see that film. Congratulations to Willis on doing it.
Yes,
you are king of the week, my friend. You do not get run over by the bus. You can drive the bus at 13.
You can drive the bus, and also to that Sky presenter, get off his back. Who was making fun of him?
Yeah, you're a loser. Don't make fun of a 13-year-old kid, you jerk.
Yes, who's spending his time playing Tetris.
He just made more money than you ever will, and you don't even realize it.
Yeah. Well, that's who I'm sure his YouTube blew up. His YouTube blew
he's
up.
Gonna get endorsements. Tetris is gonna set him up for life.
Yeah, no, for sure. They'll make movies about this kid. One last thing. Speaking about making movies, going back to the movie realm real quick. There's a rumor going around that Illumination, who of course helped make the Super Mario Brothers movie for Universal,
yes, say it right.
They do the Minions movies and whatnot. That supposedly it is true that they have a plan, to bring a lot more Nintendo characters to the big screen, and then they will do a Smash Brothers movie.
Brilliant.
Yes. So we will get a Nintendo verse in film.
I love that Smash Brothers is the Avengers. That's the best thing that could ever happen. And again, we should thank Sonic the Hedgehog and the fans of Sonic the Hedgehog, because again, for those who don't remember, the Sonic film had a really weird looking Sonic. They changed it to be more game-like or comic-like, however you want to look at that. That led for the Mario Brothers film to understand we have to keep this exactly as it is.
Yep.
And we might be gifted here with a Smash Brothers movie. Now, here's the question: is that they're talking about the live action link. Now I wanted, maybe you should flip that now to a CGI link, right? Because like you need to have films for Zelda.
Yep.
In my opinion, Metroid.
Yep.
Obviously, Mario Brothers.
Right.
I mean, you're not going to do a Solid Snake film. I'm trying to think of who else do they have to do.
Here's the thing. You could somehow. I think Kirby. So Kirby could have its own film. I think you want to figure out how to get the Pokemon in there.
Easy, right? Easy. Like some of these characters you could just introduce in the film, people know, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And you already introduced a whole bunch: Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, Yoshi, Bowser, Princess Peach.
You could do this in 3 or 4 films and have it right there.
Yeah, exactly. Because you don't need the last game had like almost 60 characters. You don't need all of those characters.
No, I was just thinking too, like, Mario could visit Kirby. Like, there's things where they could already start to see each other. But yeah, and then in the actual Smash Brothers movie, you can introduce a ton of the characters there, including the hand that is the bad guy.
The Master Hand. Yes, Crazy Hand and then Master Hand.
Yeah,
it'd be absolutely.
I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be a lot of fun if they pull that off.
Absolutely. So that is something to look forward to. And you know what else something to look forward to is the mashup this coming weekend.
Ooh, I know, I got a good one.
We got a good one for you this week, but that also means that this is the end of the episode. So
dun 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 dun. Wow.
But we do appreciate everybody hanging out here and spending time with us for a couple of hours. We're back, a bit of an extra long episode, of course, catching up everything over the holidays. But yeah, that's Lee.
I said, what if, Ray? What if our mashup was great? You should listen on Saturday morning.
You should. You absolutely should.
What if?
And of course, as always, like, subscribe, follow, wherever you are, wherever you found us, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on some other social media platform, of course, obviously Apple Podcasts, Google Play, all that other fun stuff, Google Podcasts. You let us know. Give us a 5-star sub, follow, like, do all that fun stuff. It helps. It all helps. But otherwise, that is the end of this episode. So for Lee, I'm Ray. This has been Geeks Who Like Sports, Season 2, Episode 13, the first episode of 2024. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll see how we did with our football predictions next week. And stay tuned for the mashup coming up later this week. But until then, good night, everybody.